Endor Labs helps developers and security teams prioritize open source risk across the software development lifecycle, from the selection of safer, more sustainable open source dependencies through vulnerability prioritization with reachability analysis and compliance with emerging standards like SBOM and VEX. Let's go through a quick example. First, I'm going to head over to the OSS Explorer where I can evaluate some new open source packages. For this example, let's look for a specific package and get a rundown of all the available versions for it. So I can see the risk scores for each version across security, activity, popularity, and quality. And if I click into one of them, I can start exploring their dependencies and dependents, as well as the risk findings. Once I find the things that I care about, I can then later translate them into policies that will help developers select those safer, more sustainable dependencies as they're pulling them in right in the IDE. If I'm just doing some research, I could also go back to the OSS Explorer and use Droid GPT, which lets me conversationally type in questions like, what other Java packages have a similar function to log4j? Or another example would be, show me Python packages with the most permissive licenses. Once we're already using open source code, you can cut down about 80% of noise compared to traditional SCA tools by prioritizing risk based on reachability. Let's see how it works. So I'm going to pick one of my projects, and I can review the dependencies for it, both direct and transitive. And I'll go to Findings. Here I can see all the security and operational risk associated with this project. Typically in this situation, you would filter down by severity. So let's see all the high and critical CVEs I have here. And this is where, with most SCA tools, this would be pretty much as far as you would go. You would create tickets for all of these, and then you would start your grueling back and forth with engineering on what actually needs to be worked on and fixed. With Endor Labs, you get the evidence that you need to prove what actually needs attention. If I go to Attributes, I can filter this down to only see findings where the vulnerable function is reachable. Now I can see the things that really need my attention, and I can even see the exact call path, and this is where our extensive work on program analysis and call graphs comes into play, as you can help engineering teams focus on vulnerabilities that are actually reachable and actually matter. This is also incredibly useful in cases of incident response, where you're trying to understand if you're affected by a vulnerability. So if I head over to my dependencies and I look, for example, for log4j core, I can see where I'm using it, and that in this case, it's not reachable, so maybe I don't have to sound the alarm just yet. Finally, this level of visibility into your code inventory also means that you can export highly accurate SBOMs with a click, as well as an accompanying VEX document, which will automatically annotate vulnerabilities with reachability data. And there's plenty more for us to talk about and explore, from our IDE plugin to a robust policy engine, central management for your first and third party SBOMs, and CI/CD security. To learn more, head over to endorlabs.com and book some time with us.